Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's been a little while since I've managed to post for the 335. I mean, that's largely because life's just taken over a little bit. Been rebuilding this little thing, amongst other things, and family and whatnot. So, but one of the things I really wanted to tackle before I took it back out on track again was being able to put everything where you want it at the front. Okay, so when you take the bumper off, there's obviously a massive crash bar there. You can't mount too many things where it would be beneficial, right? So even if you've got an OEM oil cooler and stuff like that, that's offered in the way if you want to put a bigger one there, and various other things. So I mean, I'll go into it in a little bit. So essentially what I was trying to do was reduce weight at the front. Obviously big heavy crash bar, we can modify that, and B, more importantly, put things where I want them to be. And when I say put things where I want them to be, what I mean is mount everything you see here. So the radiator, two oil coolers, intercooler, and everything else that goes with it, you know, obviously lights, bumper, horns, temperature switch, temperature sensor rather, in places where they could be useful. I mean, mainly because I want to redesign the bumper and get, you know, maximum airflow to the coolers. Secondly, because this is an auto, I've done away with the heat exchanger and put a standalone oil cooler in it. But what made it difficult is obviously where the bumper bar was. It just made it very difficult to try and mount that anywhere useful. So what I've done is I've made a little frame. I've cut away a lot of stuff that's unnecessary here. So you'll see, for example, down here, this is all cut away, taken all of this out because we don't need it anymore. That obviously opens up scoping for ducting through the bumper as well later on. But essentially what I've done is I've come up with this. Oh, can't see it very well. Sorry, camera work, apologise. So effectively this is a modification of the front bumper bar. So I've cut away the whole front bit, and basically just started welding. Welded a frame to mount everything up. You see the oil coolers on the left and right, the intercooler brackets at the bottom there. I've got small brackets for the power steering. There's also another bar around the back here which the radiator can sit on, and then it's also bolted at the top, which I've put a tiny little bracket on. There's also these little bits here which mount the horns, and also the bracing for the headlights, which I didn't have before because I cut it away. And that's about it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to mount it up, show you how it looks with everything on there, and you can see what I mean. Okay, so now we've got everything hooked up. You can see how everything sits. It's relatively tidy. I mean, this is my first crack at welding, to be honest, so the welds are going to be not the best, but as long as there's obviously enough penetration and strength in there, then they should hold up. Now obviously I'm going to paint this whole thing up. I just needed to make sure that everything was going to fit as intended first. So as you can see, obviously the oil coolers are mounted on a plate at the bottom with a bracket off the top here, nice and secure. I've put little rubber inserts to allow for a little bit of vibration. We've got the temperature sensor, it's all sorted there. Oil cooler, again, it's just in slots here, but then you can just put probably cable ties around the top to stop that moving anywhere. Intercooler, again, just bolted side by side. Slots underneath the radiator, pretty much as it does OEM. Transmission cooler, obviously the lines aren't on at the moment, they're just dangling down at the back there. Secured in the same way as the other oil cooler, so little rubber bushes there just to allow for a tiny bit of movement. Radiator mounted up nice, not going to go anywhere, just that little bracket on there to hold that in place. Unfortunately the other one snapped there, so I didn't bother with that. And then looking down here, obviously you can see where everything sits. Now I've got plenty of room there. Now I haven't got an OEM fan because they weigh a ton, so I've removed that, and I am just putting this little guy down on here. Now what that means is when you haven't got the fan control motor installed, it actually limits the engine, and you'll get a check engine when you try and do a pull. So what I've actually done is over here, oh here it is, this is basically the thing that attaches to the back of the fan motor. Now I've taken the heavy bits off, so it's literally just sort of exposed at the moment, but essentially if I just plug that in, it fools the ECU into thinking that the fan is connected. But in essence, I just use this one on a switch as and when I need it. Now that obviously needs to be mounted somewhere, which is another reason for this in here. I've put some brackets on here, and it slots into this little space here, so it's hidden away, out of the way, which is all good, really, I think. So like I say, I'm going to paint this all up. I'll just show you what it looks like with the bumper on in a second. Then yeah, you know, if there's any comments, you know, for someone that's more experienced at this than I am, I'd be grateful to hear from you, you know. And if you like this video, then give us a like and subscribe. Thanks. So here it is with the bumper offered up. Obviously literally is just offered up because some of the mounting points I need to still address over here. But as you can see, the idea was to get those blowing directly on the oil coolers, which they do pretty much perfectly. Now I am going to redo this bumper completely because you will see the intercooler actually sits a little bit low, which is fine, but I was going to cut those bits out anyway, and you know, basically just do a brand new front end. Additional bonus, of course, of this frame is that it also doubles up as a splitter mount, so that kind of solves that problem as well. So fingers crossed, when I actually get this out and ready, it should work pretty well. Shouldn't have any cooling problems. Fingers crossed.